For years, music fans everywhere have wondered who will be the first UK rapper to reach the US mainstream. People wondered if it would be Skepta, the grime pioneer, the skilled lyricist Dave, the veteran Stormzy, AJ Tracy with his dancey bangers, Nems or Nux with their low-key production, or would it be one of the artists collaborating with Drake, Heady One, J Hus, or Giggs? Well, not quite. In fact, it wasn't any of those artists previously mentioned, but it was the Drake collaborator, hailing from Shepherd's Bush, London, Central Cee. Rising to prominence with his song Day in the Life in 2020, Central Cee quickly found a spot within the world of UK rap with his distilled, melodic, and upbeat take on the popular drill subgenre. Yes, Cench's version of drill occasionally spoke on typical drill topics like crime and drugs, but Cench's music mainly focused on lighter subjects like love and relationships, especially after his first mixtape, Wild West, was released. With his song Doja and the accompanying Lyrical Lemonade music video, Central Cee started to carve out a niche in the US rap scene, which he's continued to sculpt with releases like Let Go, Sprinter with Dave, his On the Radar freestyle with Drake, his recent collab with Lil Baby, Band for Band, and many more collabs with many other artists from around the world. Today, I think it's safe to say that Central Cee's name is becoming more and more recognizable in the US by the day, and I think he's here to stay. Finally, at long last, a UK rapper has breached the perimeter of the average American rap fan. Let's talk about Central Cee's rise to international stardom, starting from the beginning. That was a long intro. Hopefully no one clicked off. Watch, if you're still watching, please don't click off. Oakley Neil Caesar Sue was born in Ladbroke Grove, London in 1998. At the age of 8, Central Cee started to write poetry and began to rap. Anyways, Cench started recording music at the age of 14, although there are no recordings of his music from this time on the internet. At the age of 16, Central Cee dropped out of school. Instead, he turned to drug dealing, selling the party drugs, aka MDMA, which would become the focal point of early Central Cee songs, like Day in the Life and the appropriately named Molly. That said, those songs weren't to come for 6 more years at this point. Alright, so at this point we've reached the year of our Lord 2015, which marks one of the first appearances of Central Cee on the internet with his Street Heat freestyle. In the video for the freestyle, Cench sounds and looks completely different from how he does today. And it's not just the lyrical rap style that he's doing in this song. His voice is just quite nasal, and I don't really know. I mean, he was only 16 at the time. I just find this quite interesting, although one thing is clear from the video, Cench can rap, and let's play the video right now.
I'm sure like Jersey and that my life ain't pearly, or my life they couldn't jerk me in that. That's just a vision decoded by all these cold roads, survival of the fittest, I writ this next to the soul.
I should clarify that the Street Heat freestyle wasn't Central Cee's first ever public appearance. He had appeared in a deleted episode of a British rap show called Fire in the Streets back in 2014, which was the first time that the name Central Cee was unveiled to the public. Returning to 2015, Cee had his first song appearance on a song with J Hus in the same year, which was actually released before the Street Heat freestyle was. Cench released his first solo song, Pull Up, in August of 2016, an auto-tune drenched Afro swing song. It sounds completely different from the music that Cench makes today. Also with the auto-tune style, Cee released the EPs 17, Nostalgia, and CS Volume 1 in 2017. All of these EPs and Pull Up are now deleted, but you can still find Pull Up at 17 on YouTube. Also, 2017 is the year that Cench's first release that's up on Spotify, Over You, was released, and I just want to highlight this line from Over You. Maybe I'm a little bit juvenile, but I think that's a pretty wild bar. Cench continued releasing a string of singles from 2017 to 2019, and honestly most of them aren't that great, but back to back with Cairo Keys, Cench's first song to have a music video on GRM Daily, goes hard, and so does the first part of Cench's Next Up on the Mixtape Madness YouTube channel. Now, I'm not as big of a fan of the second part of Cench's Next Up, but it's notable since the first example of Cee hopping on a drill beat.
Friends will change on you, money won't. Love will get you killed, somehow they hate.
While a lot of these early Cench songs aren't amazing, I find them pretty interesting. For one, it's kind of crazy how much Central Cee's voice changed in such a short period of time. Like, let's compare Cench's voice in Next Up Part 2 and Day in the Life. But 2 songs were released about 8 months apart. However, Cee's voice went down about 2 octaves during that time frame.
Issue not the root of it. Don't blame the student, blame the tutor, and it's ludicrous. Don't you know that talk is cheap? Like my girl, I'm short and sweet.
Which is a little bit strange considering that Cench was 21 and 22 years old at the time of releasing those songs. Alright, editor's note, that was not 2 octaves. That was like an octave tops, like probably like 3/4 of an octave. Like, I don't know what I'm yapping about here. I mean, all in all, it's obvious that Cench wasn't lying or exaggerating when he said that he put in the work for years for this in 6 for 6. On June 14th, 2020, Central Cee released the music video for his song Day in the Life onto the UK rap platform GRM Daily. The song detailed a day in the life of a UK trapper. Ironically, one of the lyrics of his song is, "Turn off the auto-tune, let's see how you really rap." which is kind of ironic considering the type of music that Cench was making less than a year before Day in the Life was released. Almost instantly, the music video took off, eventually reaching 81 million views in the music video and 214 million streams on Spotify. Day in the Life was a massive hit, and it propelled Cench to the forefront of UK rap mainstream. Now, some rappers grow complacent about their success and become one-hit wonders if they were in Cench's position. However, Central Cee was not one of them, releasing the singles Molly and Loading before the year was over. In fact, Loading will become an even bigger hit than Day in the Life, signaling that Central Cee was here to stay. Both Day in the Life and Loading were different than other drill songs in that they both had bright, upbeat melodies as opposed to the dark, piano-based instrumentals that were common in UK drill at the time. This made Cench's music a breath of fresh air in the UK drill scene. Cench would release 2 more singles before the release of Wild West, his debut mixtape. These 2 singles were Pinging Commitment Issues, which would become another massive hit. Commitment Issues was the first time that Cench chose to rap about relationships on a drill beat, which would further differentiate him from his contemporaries in the UK drill scene. Central Cee dropped Wild West on March 12, 2021. The mixtape debuted and peaked at number 2 on the UK albums chart, and went number 1 on the UK R&B albums chart. Even though it's not an R&B album, so I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, by all metrics, the mixtape was a success. Musically, Cench continued with his upbeat, melodic drill sound to the tune of both critical and commercial success. Some of my favorite songs from this mixtape that aren't singles include Tension, Hate It or Love It, and Ruby. Also, I should mention that just a month before Wild West was released, Cench was featured on the song Movie by Italian rapper Rondo de Sosa, which is the first example of Central Cee featuring on songs by other rappers across Europe in order to push his music out to listeners across the continent, and eventually worldwide. After Wild West, Cench was featured on a couple of songs by other artists, then he released the song Little Bit of This, which is far from Cench's best work in my opinion. Anyways, after Little Bit of This, Cee released a snippet for his song Obsessed With You on his TikTok page. The song sampled Pink Panther's viral hit Just For Me. Obsessed With You quickly gained traction on TikTok, going viral on the platform, and the song would eventually surpass 300 million streams in Spotify and gain almost 150 million views in the music video. Once again, it was another roaring success for Cee. The next noteworthy thing that Cench did was his feature on Overseas by the British rap collective D Block Europe. Now, Cench cooked on this song, like his verse was hard as
She sucked my soul, she done it like Ash Cash. I keep on getting them flashed.
Once again, Overseas, it was a big song. It set him up well for the release of his next mixtape, which was called 23, because he was 23 years old, I think. 23, released in February of 2022, was to little surprise another successful release for Cee. In fact, 23 went number 1 on the UK albums chart, which was kind of expected though because Cench was still hot off of his successes from the past year. Musically, 23 had some differences from Wild West. For one, a lot of the instrumentals were darker, but not in the typical UK drill way. It's kind of hard for me to describe. Lyrically, it's kind of similar to Wild West, but it's a little bit darker, just following along with the themes. Now, some of my favorites off of 23 are Terminal 5, Misses, and Airbnb. The first piece of music that Cench released after 23 was Doja, and you already know how big that song is. Notably, the song had its music video on the Lyrical Lemonade YouTube channel. This allowed Doja to catch more attention from American audiences than Cench's previous work. Before Doja was released, most Americans who knew Central Cee were nerds like me. However, Doja, and the memes that came with it, ended up introducing Cench to a new audience of listeners from across the pond. And it's kind of crazy that Doja was released almost 2 years ago, and it might be 2 years by the time this video was released, since I feel like I heard this song for the first time just yesterday. Alright, that's enough introspectiveness. After Doja, Cench dropped One Up in the No More Leaks EP, along with several more features on other artists' songs. From this point on, I'm going to commentate on less singles because it's just less important of a story. So after that, Cench released Let Go, which is kind of similar to Obsessed With You in that it's a simple drill song about love, and it did well commercially, just like Obsessed With You. Although in my opinion, it's far from Cench's best song. It's better than a little bit of this though. So more importantly, Cench released the collab single, Sprinter, and the collab EP, Split Decision, with Dave in June of 2023. And this, I must say, was a good EP, much better than No More Leaks. For one, Dave and Cench had pretty good chemistry, and I think the sparse production on the EP forced Cench to think more about his lyrics, which were markedly better on this EP than they were on any of his works before Split Decision was released. Personally, I like every song on this EP, but my favorite is the underrated track Our 25th Birthday. After Split Decision, Cench featured on a number of tracks and did an on-the-radar freestyle with Drake. He also released the singles Entrepreneur and I Will, but neither song was a massive hit by the marks that Cench had hit in the past. Just a couple of months ago, Cench released the song Band for Band with Lil Baby. Now this song, in my mind, has truly brought Cench to the American mainstream. For one, this song has spawned several large memes on TikTok. Second, the song peaked at number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100. And yes, I know sales aren't everything, but I think they're a pretty good indicator of success. Let me just do an audible on my script here because this is now new information. Well, it's not even really new at this point. Cench just released a song with Ice Spice, which also further solidifies his grip on the US mainstream. And that brings us to today. I believe that Central Cee is by far the biggest rapper out of the UK right now, with a global audience, and he's cruising his way into the American rap mainstream. I mean, he's the king of UK rap. And that was an obscene glaze, so maybe I should just end the video there. Well, no, I can't do that, because I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribed. This video took 14 hours to make. Now, I don't know what I accomplished by saying that, but it's probably worth saying that. So, bye.